So today's 15-minute workshop is the last one in our block, all about planning the lesson, and it's reviewing the learning. What do we do at the end of the lesson to make sure that we know, have the learners learned what we want them to learn? Is there anything else that we need to do, etc.? So the objectives and aims from our workshop today: to clarify the understanding of what formative assessment means, that term formative assessment, to explore formative assessment techniques that you can use in your classroom to check the learning, to check how to review lesson objectives with your learners, and finally, very important, to wish you all a very happy Christmas. So first of all, what do we mean by formative assessment? This is a term that we hear used a lot in classrooms, and sometimes I think we need to go back and review exactly what it does mean so that we can be sure that we understand its meaning and how to use it and when we use it. So formative assessment monitors student learning to enable us as the teacher to provide ongoing feedback. It takes place at the start, during, and at the end of a lesson. So formative assessment is throughout the lesson. It's crucial to include formative assessment as it checks you have planned an appropriate and relevant lesson plan. Because it may be that you have started a lesson, but actually through your formative assessment, you realize that the learners are not where you thought they would be, and they're going to struggle with the lesson. So if you're doing formative assessment techniques throughout the lesson, that gives you the potential to be able to adapt and change the lesson to suit the needs of your learners right then. Because we've all been in lessons where we've started, but it didn't go the way we thought it was going to go. We realized there was a gap in the knowledge somewhere. Or sometimes they know more than your learners know more than you thought they knew. So actually what you need to do is you need to accelerate the learning. You need to change, adapt your lesson to do more than you had planned. But formative assessment is really important to use throughout your lessons. So you've probably heard of summative assessment. And how is it different from summative assessment? So summative assessment records how much a student has learnt at the end of a course or topic. So we don't use the term summative assessment for for questions that you might ask in the middle of a lesson to check the understanding. Summative assessment is what comes at the end of a course, at the end of a topic, etc., to enable you to understand what it is your learners have learnt overall in the whole topic. It doesn't always require feedback for students, although they might well get a pass mark or a grade. And it should also inform the teachers of any changes they need to make when they teach that topic again to achieve improved results. It's common, obviously, for teachers to teach the same grade or year group year on year for a few years at a time. So we may be teaching the same topic again and again, but we can learn as teachers from our summative assessment when we look at the exam results and so on that our learners have completed, or the tests or whatever, and think, this is the area that they didn't understand this time. So next year, I need to make sure I focus or I include more of that. So does anybody have any questions about formative and summative assessment? Or is that okay? Trying to find no chat. I think we must be all right. Okay. So now let's think about when you use formative assessment. Basically, throughout the whole lesson. You never, ever don't use formative assessment. It's the most useful strategy, overall strategy, that we have to check learners' understanding. You would use formative assessment at the start to check learners have the knowledge they need to achieve the learning objective in this lesson. You would use formative assessment during the lesson to check they are following, that they are understanding, and that they know what to do. You would also use formative assessment at the end of the lesson to assess whether the learners learned what you wanted them to. Did they achieve the learning objective? Is there anything else you need to go over, to cover again, to make sure it's clear? Or where should you go next? So we use that all the time. We use formative assessment throughout the lesson. Has anybody got anything to ask about that so far? Otherwise, I shall keep going. Do put any questions in the chat. I wanted to talk to you about a strategy that you might have seen in use. Are we together? Are we together is often used by teachers to check all learners understand. And I've seen it used recently in schools when I was in Kenya and Zambia. But I wanted to unpick it a little bit with you all today and to explain to you why I don't think this is a very effective strategy. The teacher will explain a task or a key learning activity and will then ask the class, are we together? And the children go, yes. So they might say, today I want you to do X and Y, are we together? And the class go, yes. But my question for you is, does that really tell the teacher that the children understand? Does it really show them where the issues might be? Is it really very effective? Learners then reply, yes. Sometimes the teachers ask this a number of times during their explanation. So my question for you is, what do you think of this strategy as a way of checking understanding? Has anybody got anything they'd like to share with us? Would anybody, this annoying thing, would anybody like to unmute and tell us what they think about this strategy as a way of checking understanding? Anybody? Mohammed or Flomo or Roberta? What do you think about this strategy? We're a small group, so if you want to unmute yourself and share it and share us what you think about asking, are we together? I'd be delighted to hear. Chika, yeah. Hello, please tell us, Chika, your thoughts.
Hello?
Hi, hi.
Okay. Hello. To my understanding, about instead of asking students, are we together? And students say yes. And you have to do a checkup. To me, the checkup you have to do, some students say yes because of the fear. Some say yes because you understand, but they want for you to, continue, they will say yes. So you, the instructor, what you have to do is to do counter check by asking them to do, if you say, yeah, you understand, can you repeat what I said? So if he or she repeat, then you will get to understand, yeah, the person understand, but now that they just say, oh, yes, are we together? Yes, you understand, yes, you continue. No, that is not a good assessment. You have to do a further check to know if the student understand or not.
Absolutely, Chika. Thank you so much for your contribution today. I think saying are we together like that, it seems as if it's a way of checking that the learners understand, but you're right. They either might be too afraid to say they don't understand, or they're so used to just chanting yes along with everybody. But the teacher doesn't really know. But I see this strategy in use a lot in classrooms. It's not, so this is my opinion, it's not very effective as all learners can reply yes, but the teacher has no idea if they truly do understand. It's the same as everybody just chanting an answer or a passage from a textbook. It doesn't provide opportunities for effective assessment of the learning. Do let me know if anybody wants to speak at any point. I'm actually trying to move on to the next point. So, right. So reviewing the lesson at the learning at the start of the lesson. When I say reviewing the learning at the start of the lesson, you need to make sure at the beginning of the lesson, do your learners know what they need to know to teach that lesson? So there are just a few ideas here, which you may well have seen in some of our courses. The do now strategy. So you just write a task or an activity or a question on the board for the learners to do as soon as they enter the classroom and while everybody is sitting down and getting ready. And then just make sure you include 30 seconds to quickly check their understanding. So you could say to somebody, What does the do now say on the board? Who's got an idea of what the answer would be? Who agrees with that? Anybody got a different idea? And that gives you a quick snapshot of where the learning is in the classroom. Hi, Varley, you have something to say, yes? Do unmute and join in. Hi. Okay, I'm going to keep going, but if somebody would like to share something, do say so in the chat. Oh, Varley, are you there now? No, okay, I'll just keep going. Another strategy is after you have explained or introduced the lesson objective, ask the lesson objective, just like Chika said, ask a learner to explain it again to the class, or ask the learners to quickly discuss it in pairs. Then you can choose a pair or two at random to tell you what you'll be learning about in the lesson. And this can help with challenges with new vocabulary or with concepts and so on. So asking the learners to explain it to each other. Hi, Varley, you had a question. I can see two hands up. No, okay. Emmanuel, is that you with your hand up too?
It's Mohammed.
No, not you, Emmanuel. Sorry, it's somebody, I can't see the names. It's gone really small.
Mohammed again.
Mohammed again. Sorry, Mohammed, yeah. Go for it.
Yeah, my understanding about the view lesson have to do with you. Even you, the instructor coming on the board, you should know the objective. Tell the student the objective first. And view lesson have to do with make sure the learners are following you. Because some learner in a classroom, they just sit, you the instructor right at the end of the day, even ask, did you understand the lesson you have there? If somebody check in the lesson book, there's nothing pertaining to the lecture you on the board there. So if you didn't inspect the learner or copy book, then at the end of the day, they're going to get a lot of error. And time for test, you're going to face a lot of challenges. Even to time for review, it's going to be a serious problem for you. So you have to do a thorough check at the beginning of the lesson and also at the end of the lesson to know if the learners are on the referral path.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Emmanuel, Mohammed, very much. Okay, I'm just going to race on just because of time, but thank you. So another way is keep the question going or stretch it. So where you ask one learner a question about the lesson topic or objective, it doesn't matter if their answer is correct or incorrect, you can ask another learner, do you think they're correct? If not, why not? If they are, why? Can you explain it? So try to keep that initial answer going through questioning, which again enables you to understand, do the learners know what I need them to know? Thumbs up, thumbs down. Ask the class with a thumb up or down if they understand or not. But you still need to ask questions for check this one. Otherwise, it could just become another, are we together? Which we don't want. Checking the learning during the lesson. Pause. It's very important that you pause regularly during lessons, both during your explanation and when the learners are working independently, to check their understanding and to ensure everyone is on track. Open-ended questions. When you pause, remember to ask the class questions that begin with sentence openers such as, how do you know that? What have you found out about? Have you noticed anything? What did you do first? What will you do next? And so on. It's quite a good idea to just have those sentence starters up in your brain, ready to go to use in all lessons. Again, keep the question going or stretch it. So we've just had that. And thumbs up, thumbs down, those are also really useful again. So those bottom two you can definitely use at any stage of the lesson. And then finally, assessing the lesson learning at the end of a lesson. This is a nice technique here, the 4-finger assessment. So you ask the learners to show fingers to tell you how they found the lesson. This can be quite good because it's an unthreatening way for learners to show if they found something difficult. So 1 finger, I don't understand the concept. 2, still a bit confused. 3, can do it by myself. And 4, I can understand and can teach it to a friend. And as a teacher, that gives you a really quick way of seeing who understands and who doesn't. And you can either then pick them up individually or put some children into a group that you will work on with a bit later, but it gives you that immediate knowledge. And the children are often quite good at, almost better than we are, obviously, and knowing if they have or haven't understood something, or our learners rather. And if you ask them this in an unthreatening way, so they think they know that it's okay to say that they are still confused and they put a 1 or a 2, then you've got a powerful learning environment for your children or for your learners, because they're able to say when they're doing well and when they need further help. 30-second share. Choose one learner to explain what they learned in the lesson, making sure they connect it to the lesson objective. Ask them to use key vocabulary. So choose one child. You could perhaps do it using the no hands up strategy that we have covered previously. And say, what can you tell us about the learning today? Or use your lesson objective and say, do you think your learning today did what you needed to do in the lesson objective? How? And again here, connect the lesson objective. Make sure the learners have connected the lesson objective to the learning from the lesson. Ask them to tell you how what they did today helped them achieve the lesson objective. Because that's the whole point. Have they achieved the lesson objective? Do they know they've achieved it? How do they know? Use questions again yourself to interrogate their learning, or what's quite fun is ask other pupils to ask them, how do you know? What did you do? What have you found out? How have you achieved the learning objective? It's a good idea to provide as many opportunities for your pupils to speak, not just you. I'm actually realizing we're very short of time. I've gone rather a lot over time, but let's see, we'll go on for a few more minutes. We have a scenario here. Mr. Malenga is teaching Year 8 Spanish to his students. They are second language learners. He wants them to have a conversation in pairs based in a food market. One must buy the food and the other must be a market stall holder. Mr. Malenga starts the lesson by explaining the task. What strategy should Mr. Malenga use to ensure that his students understand the task? Has anybody got any ideas for what you could put? You can either unmute or write in the chat. Just unmute yourself if you like. But how should Mr. Malenga check that his students understand the task? Any ideas or strategies they could use based on what we've just talked about? No ideas? Let's check. We haven't got any hands up from anybody. No, okay. Well, Mr. Malenga could ask somebody to tell the rest of the class what they had to do. He could ask them to discuss it in pairs. He could ask children for thumbs up, thumb down if they know what they're supposed to be doing. So there's lots of things he could do to start off. What strategy should he use halfway through the task to check the learning and ensure his students are completing the task successfully? He could use stretch it, the questioning technique, where you stretch it and you really try and encourage the learners to explain their thinking. He could use thumbs up and thumbs down again, as long as he remembers to actually identify some children to share their thinking so far to make sure. Could also use the 4-finger assessment. Anybody need more help? They might put a 1 or a 2, we're a bit stuck. And then that shows them somewhere you can go and focus actually during the lesson. What should Mr. Malenga do if he realizes that one pair is not completing the task successfully? Any thoughts from anybody that they'd like to share with us? Not today. No? Okay. I would say if Mr. Malenga realizes that one pair is not completing that task successfully, for a start, he should make sure he spends time with that pair. But I wonder also if you could get another learner to come and explain what they have to do, to ask some questions. He could ask the questions of his learners to try and unpick where it is they have got stuck. He could say to them, tell me what you've done so far, and why did you do this, and why did you do that? And hopefully that would help them identify where the errors were. And at the end of the lesson, we could use some of the strategies that we've talked about, the 4-finger assessment, the questioning, the 30-second share, connecting the learning objective to the learning, those strategies that we've discussed already. So just to finish off, we should view formative assessment as a key part of every lesson. We must ensure we introduce the learning objective clearly so learners know what they are trying to achieve. Pause to check the learning both during your introduction, during independent learning, and the conclusion. Use strategies that include all learners, but also make sure you do not always choose the same learners to contribute. And refer back to the learning objective. Oh, why does it do that? Throughout the lesson, especially when reviewing the learning. Your pupils, your learners must see the link between what they are doing in the lesson and the objective they are trying to achieve. And this is not always obvious. So just a reminder, if you want to continue developing your own teaching practice, please complete a Teach 2030 course. Contact us if you need, if you'd like a code. We're quite generous with giving out codes so that teachers can receive some of our courses for free. But I'm also very pleased to see some of our Liberia community here today, who I know are part of our partner program already. Come to more of our Teach 2030 workshops. Find us on Facebook and YouTube. We have a huge amount of content on our Facebook Teach 2030 page and our YouTube Teach 2030 page. And sign up to our newsletter. These are all ways to ensure you can keep developing your practice. Now, I want to try and see you all. There we go. So let me just, there we go. Has anybody got anything they would like to share at the end of our workshop today? Do please unmute yourself. Always keen to listen to new voices. So Emmanuel or Chica again, or Flomo or Roberta or Francis. Anybody got anything they would like to share with us today? Anything that you might try, having not tried before?
Yeah, hello?
Hi, who's speaking?
Flomo.
Hi, Flomo, welcome. Tell us your thoughts.
Yeah, thank you for the presentation. And what I learned I want to put in practice is the 4-finger strategy.
Great.
Yeah, the 4-finger strategies. And I saw it necessary. I think if every teacher uses that, the learners will be included within the teachings. Learning will take place more in classroom. So thank you for the presentation.
Oh, thank you. And thank you, Flomo, for your input. One thing that I might say about the 4-finger strategy is, of course, as teachers, you need to make sure that you give your learners the confidence to say they're only a 1 or a 2. They have to know it's okay to say that they are stuck or finding something challenging. So sometimes when you're introducing a new strategy like that, you will need to specify as their teacher, everybody, if you tell me 1 or 2, it's absolutely fine. I need to know what you know, and this will give me the opportunity to make it clearer for you. Thank you, Flomo, very much. Anything from anybody else before we finish? And I wish you all a very happy Christmas and a jolly new year. No? Anybody want to say anything else in the chat?
Hello.
Oh, hi. Hi, Chica.
Thank you so much for today's lesson. I'm so excited. I'm learning about the 4-finger technique too, and pausing in between the lesson to check and evaluate the students and know how they are following the learning. So it's also exciting for me to learn these 2 techniques. Thank you very much.
That's so great to hear. I tell you what I would love is if you do use them in your classrooms, we would love to hear how they go for you. Please send us an email or in our next workshop. We love hearing how the strategies are working.
Okay. By next year, I've already tried to implement the 4-finger strategy.
Ah, brilliant. Okay. All right. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining in today. I'll leave it there, but thank you for your time. Please, we're running more and more workshops next year. We're going to be running live question and answer sessions where you come and you can ask us or ask fellow teachers questions. So please do spread the word about Teach 2030 workshops. And I look forward to seeing you in our workshops next year. And I hope you all have a good Christmas and a good break if you celebrate it.